in these policies, right? And by the mercies of God, by the time we are done, we will see how far that we can go with this policy document. And so, like I shared earlier, we have done a couple of these interviews, and right now this is the one for sports. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, and so part of the ways that we are going to generate ideas and generate ideas for this particular policy document, this Rivers 2050 bill, is through the statewide survey, which is what is currently projected. We are anticipating that over 70,000 people are going to during this survey. Like I said, this survey is going to form part of the policy document as well. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we took the time out as well to visualize what the future of sports look like in River State using AI. And if you can see in the next slide, the images that came forth. So we are looking at a River State uh, that is kind of designed with what we are seeing. So AI is just anticipating for us, and which is part of the goals of what the Rivers 20 vision is about, that we will be where we ought to be at the right time. Okay, so next slide, please. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we talked about the next slide. Yeah, so thank you. So this is the current CAF club ranking for Africa, right? And looking at the present, Rivers United is doing so good. I mean, Rivers United is the highest ranked club in Nigeria. I mean, according to CAF, and the 24th club in Africa. So you can imagine that the highest ranking club in Nigeria is the number 24 in Africa. So just like it is written on the slide, how do we build on this momentum so that in the coming years, Rivers United will possibly be at where all our Lille FC is currently. The Rivers United could be possibly number one in Africa, and also we understand that the sports market is a very vast one and has a lot of value chain attached to it. So how do we tap into this entire market? How do we, maximize the opportunities that we have? Which is one of the things that we'll be looking at today. Next slide, please. Okay, so now I go on to introducing our guests. On the call, we should have Sam Iwejian, who is the Group Sports Department, Megalectrics Limited, which are the owners of Beat, Classic FM, and Nigeria.
Go, I'll handle it.
He is also the first ever Director of Communications of Rivers United FC. He's a former spokesman to the Rivers State Sports Commissioners, actually, Boma Iyaye and Bryce Akin. He is also a former editor for supersports.com. He has previously worked at Full FM, Wazobia FM, Nigeria FM, Nigeria Info FM, Love FM, Wave FM, Radio River, Silverback Communications, and RSTV. You can call Sammy an all-rounder. Sammy is not an ordinary name. Almost everybody, both adults and children, know who Sammy Media is. He's also the CEO of Next Media Star Training Institute and the CEO of Augustami Sports Shop. So once again, welcome, Sammy Media. We are happy to have you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I don't know if you introduced me earlier. I'm actually in the middle of so many things. I have an event tomorrow. I'm at work now. So I was actually on a call a few moments ago. So I don't know if you introduced me earlier, but thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to be here. Good evening once again, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Welcome once again. Okay, so now we'll introduce Carl Orakwe. Carl Orakwe is a second generation broadcaster. He was born in the Midwest, raised up north, and has spent quite some time in every region in the country, which is a commendable feat, I must say. The knowledge and experience gathered from living and working with various people and cultures has been brought to bear in his professional life. Carl holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in linguistics from the University of Benin and a PGD in sports science from the Sports Institute, University of Port Harcourt. He has worked both for radio and television and continues to champion the basic objectives of broadcasting, information, education, and entertainment. A stickler for procedure, he belongs to the generation that believes that the time is now. He's currently the programs manager at Nigerian Info FM Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining the call, sir. Once again, welcome to this call.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to be on the discussion panel today.
Thank you, sir. So we'll go on to our next guest, China Achille. China Achille is a broadcaster, is an author, a football writer, and a travel blogger. China Achille is a seasoned sports journalist and broadcaster who has made significant contributions to the Nigerian sports media landscape. He is currently a programs manager for Wazobia FM, where he covers a wide range of sports topics. In addition to his broadcasting career, China Achille currently holds the position of National Officer of the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria, where he plays a pivotal role in shaping sports policies and advocating for the development of sports at the grassroots level. Once again, welcome, sir. It's good to have you on this call.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here myself.
Okay, welcome, sir. So finally, we have Vladimir Danjombo, who is popularly known as Coach Kaka. He is a very well-known figure in the sports sector in River State. We're happy to have him on this call if he's on the call currently. Okay, so I guess he's not yet on the call. But I know we can proceed because of time. So right about now, I'll hand over to Sani, who is going to be the moderator for today's discussion. Over to you, Sani. Thank you.
Hello, good evening once more, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. It's a privilege being part of this. Once again, my name is Sonny Sheo Ahmed, speaking from Lagos, a member of the Policy Shapers NG. Let's go quick to the questions for our panelists. We would love to know what inspired your love for sport as a professional. Did you always want to be a sports coach, a sports writer, a sports administrator, or you just stumbled upon sports? We would love to know how you got entry into the arena of sports. Is that as a writer, as a broadcaster, as an administrator? And we would love to first hear from Sammy Wenjia. We would love to first hear from you, sir, how you happen to be into the arena of sports. Sammy Wenjia, are you there, sir?
Good evening, everybody. Sorry, what's your name? Sorry. Yeah, what's your name? Sorry.
Sonny Sheo Ahmed.
Okay, Ahmed. Okay. Do you have a very good lawyer?
Oh, please. I don't think I have one that can stand you.
I will tell you why I asked. I'm about to meet you in court because you just murdered my surname.
Oh,
my surname is pronounced Wejinya. I want you to do it before I continue. Wejinya.
And I practiced that twice before we started. Sammy Wenjia. Is that correct?
Nah, lie. You know get them. Wejinya.
Sammy Wenjia.
Okay. We'll continue the pronunciation lesson. You tried. Not 100%, but much better. No, it's okay. It's okay. Okay, so good evening, my friend, and good evening, everybody. To answer your question, I will have to say Please confirm you can hear me very clearly.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Fantastic. I'll give credit to my parents. I was born into a sports family. My father, God rest his soul, he passed on the 28th of December 2011. I'll refer to him as a legend as far as sports administration, sports promotion is concerned, not just in Rivers State, but in Nigeria. He was a one-time Secretary General of the Youth Sports Federation of Nigeria, the oldest youth sports body in Nigeria, founded in 1965. So, as his only son, you could guess, he wanted me to follow his footsteps by loving sports, and I'll say he was successful. My mom also played a role. I'll come to that very shortly. I recall vividly that my first football memory, I remember vaguely Senegal 92, the Africa Cup of Nations, but I would say my love for football, for what I do, blossomed fully in 1994. I remember Nigeria winning the Africa Cup of Nations on foreign soil for the first time with that great team led by Stephen Keshi. And of course, the World Cup was what it was. And then for my mom came in the sense that I loved to read when I was a lot younger. So my mom would always give me the funds to buy newspapers like National Sports Link, Complete Sports, Complete Football International, the BBC Focus on Africa magazine. So that's how my love for sports developed. And the second part of your question, did I always want to be a broadcaster, a sportscaster? Hell no, I didn't want to. I wanted to be a medical doctor, but then one thing led to another, and I settled with sports. But looking back over the years, I would say I don't regret the path that I took. So, in a nutshell, that's how my love affair with sports came into being. And in a nutshell as well, did I want to be a sportscaster from the get-go? No. That's it from me for that question.
So thank you so much. We are glad to hear that. Can we hear from Carl Rakwe? Hello,
Okay.
Carl.
Yes. Hello, Sani. Good evening or good afternoon to everyone. And the question, I guess, is still the same.
Yes.
How
do you
did one get?
sport?
Well, I will say, first of all, maybe I belong to the period where watching sports on the likes of an NTA, that's the Nigerian Television Authority, used to be the pastime of families. A period where families, we watch, the various soap operas we had at that time. We watch it together as a family. So I can tell you that I watched the likes of, for football, the likes of Maroc 88, that's the African Nations Cup, in Sports there with my dad, just one match here, one match there. But when it came to the likes of the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, we all sat down as a family and watched the opening ceremonies. We watched the countries, the various participants, all parade, march and introduce themselves. These we all did as a family. Now, when all this was done, no one ever thought that, or rather, I didn't think then I was going to be a broadcaster, notwithstanding the fact that my mom was a broadcaster. My mom worked with the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, and also worked in other radio stations before she retired. Now, we did all this. We followed sports, like I said, just as a hobby or as a pastime. It was entertainment for us. This is what we did. But the knowledge one gained, or rather, living through the moment, watching those matches, watching those competitions, the Commonwealth Games, the Olympic Games, the All Africa Games, the African Game Championships, those games, these, living through them has formed the basis of what has given one further to be able to stand out in what indeed has become a very competitive industry. That's, when it's called sports broadcasting. So I never planned to become a sports broadcaster or to even join broadcasting. But I do recall on a particular day, I asked myself, can one make a living really? Because I used to watch, of course, the guys on television and listen to the guys on radio then. I said, so can I make a living talking sports, just expressing my hobby, just saying something that just comes naturally to you? Can one make a living out of that? And by the time though I was in and out of studios because, like I mentioned, my mom was a broadcaster. By the time I was done with the university, that's when I now kind of like maybe thought I would take it seriously. At the National Orientation Camp, that's the youth service during the youth service scheme, I tried to get into the OBS, the outside broadcasting service. It didn't work, but I was favored to have been posted to, I served in Ondo State, to OSRC, Ondo State Radio Vision. And I will say that's where I actually kicked into full gear. And this was sometime in 2004. And in full gear, I now became sports as I am known today. So did I plan this? No. My first degree, like you mentioned, is in linguistics. So it was not as if I read mass communication or perhaps studied journalism and was planning on being, a broadcast journalist. No, that wasn't it. It was just due to the fact that I followed my passion. And basically, I have been living my passion. That's it. Sunny?
Thank you so much for that. It's glad to know that something great came out of great family time spent together. We hope we can be able to foster family time that would bring about the future that children would live and they will find their purpose in. We'll quickly want to hear from China Acheru, how you happen upon sports, sir.
Okay, good afternoon once again. For
Good
me,
afternoon.
My direct love for sports, I would say, was in 1984 at the Los Angeles Olympic Games. But before then, I'd come from a family of sports people where my mother claimed she played netball in school. I wasn't born then, but she claimed she played netball in school. But for my dad was a member of the River State hockey team. He was actually at the sports festival in 1973, 1975, and 1977. Yes. And he won medals, which I saw. I saw the hockey sticks, I saw the hockey balls. He was also a one-time vice chairman of the River State Hockey Association. So right from when we were kids, we knew my dad as a hockey player. When 1984, I was in secondary school then, and I was watching the opening ceremony of the Los Angeles Olympic Games. Yinka Craig and Akinlo Oyebanji ran commentaries that day. And as I sat down in my dad's living room watching them, I just said, I would like to do this. I love the synergy. I loved, how they did it. I just said I would like to do it. And it was just a wish, nothing more. But going back to school, we had this group of friends, Samuel Ogali, who is in Canada now, Amaye Bama, who is late now, and Ovie Wano, who is somewhere in the US. Every Monday, they will gather the sports news and they come to school early and they write on the blackboard weekend sports results. And they'll write all the results from weekend, football games, basketball games, all the sports results, and they'll just debate it. And I was just amazed at how they did it. So one day I wanted to be like them. And I went back on one weekend, went to my dad's study. I packed all his newspapers from way back. I started studying the sports pages. I studied probably from 6 months back, all the sports pages. But then I go back to school the next Monday, I thought I was ready. So I was the first to get to school that day, and I wrote on the board weekend sports results. And they were shocked to see me, and I started analyzing with them. And that's how I became part of the team of sports analysts in my school. And I'll say the rest is history because from that point, I started watching more TV. NTA Port Harcourt, Amabipi Martins ran the sports show. I will not miss it every Sunday. NTA Abba was Okuno Miyaku and Paul Ogaji. I wouldn't miss it every Sunday too. NTA Lagos, 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Yinka Craig, Akinlo Yebanji. There was some other guys that joined them later. I wouldn't miss it. So I started following sports. I started reading voraciously. I'll read from Emeka Nyadike. I'll read from Shego Debami. I'll read from Sonyo Jegbasi. I read everything. I was using my pocket money to buy newspapers. I just felt that one day I could do this. And eventually it happened for me. Yes, I would say from my dad's foundation as a hockey player, then watching the 1984 Olympic Games opening ceremony, and of course my friends in school, they helped me build what I'm doing right now.
Wow. That's equally that's interesting. So we'd love to hear from you, Gladden Dan Jumbo. Coach Kaka. Hello, Gladden Dan Jumbo. Are you there? Hello, is Coach Kaka with us? Okay. I doubt if he's still here because I can't hear from him. Oh, all right. In that case, let's go back to Sammy then. Sammy, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. I can hear you loud and clear.
I'm trying to ensure Sam is still with us.
I just said something.
Yeah,
Now.
he's
You
still
didn't
with
hear me.
us.
I can hear from Sammy, so let's go to Carl. Hello, Carl.
Sammy just responded.
All right.
Sammy still with us.
Looking at the future of sports, River State, we can say River State has it going good at this point in time. Rivers, between Rivers. Has Sammy joined? Is Sammy back now?
Yeah, Sunny, can I make a suggestion? Can I make a suggestion, Sunny?
Yes. Yes.
You might need
Yes.
an earpiece. Yeah, you might need an earpiece. I'm suspecting you don't have an earpiece. You know, so maybe that's why you can't hear me. But I'm here. I've been following all of the conversations. I'm here. Maybe you might need an earpiece so that you hear when everybody is talking.
Okay.
I think the problem, Sani, is that Sammy is still registered as Ebenezer Wikina. So I think that's one of the major problems.
Thanks, Carl. I just changed it. If you still having same problem of your name appearing as Ebenezer, please let me know. I will rename it.
Is it better this way?
No, your audio isn't very clear. If you can hear me, your audio isn't very clear anymore from my end. I don't know if it's clear for others. The reason I made that suggestion is that I didn't think you could hear me, so I was suggesting that maybe you might need a hearing aid, maybe an earbud and earpiece or headphone or something. But I don't know what you connected. It's no
Is my
longer
audio
your
better now
audio is no
without the
longer
earphone?
much better now. Yes, much better now. Much better.
Is it much better?
Yes,
I think so.
yes.
It is.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's go on with Sammy. Hello, Sammy. All right. Let's ask this. From your history, we could see how much you contributed in the Rivers United that we see today. Rivers United being ranked #1 in Nigeria and sitting 24th in Africa, and is on record that you are the first director of communication at that club. You should be proud. We are proud of you, and should be proud of yourself for being part of building such a legacy as this. But we would love to ask, how much still needs to be done for Rivers United to be like the kind of African clubs that we see at the World Club Cup this year? For Rivers United to be at the top, to be able to rival the top teams across the world in the next decade, what do you think still needs to be done?
Okay, thank you for the question. And I got a prepared text, if I may put it that way, before this session. And based on that, and based on what you asked me, I'm going to divide this question into two parts. The first part is what you touched on briefly, my time as the first director of communications of the club. the body of work that I put in to bring the club to where it is today. A lot of work had to be done. To build is very difficult, and I had zero experience as a media officer, as a director of communications when I took the reins. Rivers United was founded, I think, on the 1st of February 2016, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm correct. There are two stories about how Rivers United came into existence. One is the official line, which I'll talk about. I won't talk about the unofficial line. The official line is that there was a merger of two government-owned clubs, Sharks and Dolphins. Now, I said I had to put in a lot of work because Rivers United was not accepted by a lot of people in Rivers State. For lack of a better phrase, the core traditionalists. And the reason why they didn't accept Rivers United was because there was another club which was in existence. I talked about the merger between Sharks and Dolphins, and the other club was seen as the true identity of Rivers people, and that club is known as Sharks FC of Port Harcourt. So I had to work extra hard to try to make Rivers United get accepted by the generality of the people. I can't say I succeeded or didn't succeed, because I would say even up until this moment, a lot of people still don't accept Rivers United as their club. And I understand. I don't know hard feelings. Apart from Rivers United, I support Manchester United. I don't think there's anything anybody can say or do to me that will make me start supporting Arsenal. So it's very difficult to make people move from point A to point B in context. But I think we recorded a lot of success. And some of the things I did while I was director of communications was that I understood that I didn't have a lot of experience as a director of communications, but I knew I had relative experience as a media person. So I decided to use a lot of traditional and social media tools to sell the club, not just to Rivers people, but to people outside Rivers State, people in Africa, people outside the shores of Africa. Radio, TV, Facebook, and especially then it was known as Twitter, X, Instagram to an extent. And at that time, I want to credit my former boss at the time, Honorable Boma Yaye, who is now the Executive Director of Finance of NDDC. Then he was the Commissioner for Sports. He ensured that we had a functional website. Now, some of the things I did to sell Rivers United to the public was that live text commentaries were always provided by the club's media department, which I was practically a sole member of. I made sure live text commentaries were provided via X and via Facebook to all our fans, and even those who are not fans of the club. I think somebody's mic is on. Can you mute your mic? Please, someone's mic is on. Can you mute your mic, please? Thank you. Okay, so and I will say my job at supersport.com helped me a lot because I was not just providing content for local audience, but for international audience. So that helped me a lot as far as providing live text commentary was concerned. I also used a lot of social media tools, which at that time, very few clubs were using. And another thing I concentrated on was ensuring that match reports were sent almost immediately after the matches were played. Now, those match reports were unique. I'll mention why they were unique. I was trying to sell my club to the outside world without misrepresenting the facts. And again, SuperSport helped me a lot. Yes, as media officer of the club, you are expected, you will be forgiven if you're partisan. But at the same time, a lot of people would take your work with a pinch of salt if you're overly partisan. So I tried not to misrepresent the facts while I was also, selling my club to the outside world. And then in summary, for the first question, I remember that the first season that I served as media officer, there was a very fascinating rivalry between my club, Rivers United, and Enugu Rangers for the league title. As a matter of fact, Rivers United went into the final game of the season against Aqua United in Uyo, still with a mathematical chance of winning the league. I know that we lost we were also going to lose the league title eventually because Rangers had to lose at home. I think it was the El Kanemi Warriors or so, and then we had to win in Uyo to become champions. We did win in Uyo, but Rangers were never going to lose. They won the match 4-0 and they were champions. So in a nutshell, these are some of the factors during the early days that, helped me sell the club to the outside world, and, also represents the amount of work that we did. And now the second part of the question, if I'm not mistaken, you're saying Rivers United is a lot of work still needs to be done. We're 24 in Africa. How can we move into the top 10? Am I correct? Is that the question? The second part of the question? Sani, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, you are correct.
Sani, can you? Okay. Now, the second part of the question, how do we take Rivers United from number 24 in Africa to number 10 to the top 10? If we take Rivers United to the top 10, we're not successful in my books. We shouldn't be looking at top 10. We should be looking at number 1. But let me do this. First, I don't understand the rationale. I don't understand the yardstick used by the Confederation of African Football to arrive at that ranking. This is subjective. I don't agree with the rankings. I don't think Rivers United is the 24th best club in the world. I think Rivers United should be ranked lower. Now, let me say this. This is not bad belly or anything. I'm a Rivers United fan. As a matter of fact, there's a standing order to members of my family that whenever God decides to call me, whenever I've run my final race, I want to be laid to rest in a Rivers United jersey. This is public knowledge. Rivers United is not just a club I support. It's part of my life. So I love Rivers United, but I don't understand the rationale behind that ranking. I don't think Rivers United is number 24 in the world. If you want to go into that, that's another lecture that will take probably an entire day. But let me say this very quickly so the others can come in. Top 10 right now, according to the rankings released by CAF yesterday. Al Ahly of Egypt is number 1. Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa is number 2. Esperance of Tunisia is number 3. RS Berkane from Morocco, number 4. Simba from Tanzania, number 5. Pyramids from Egypt, number 6. Zamalek, Wydad, USM from Algeria, and CR Belouizdad also from Algeria, completing the top 10 in descending order. Now, let me do this very quickly. They say, there's a popular saying, if you aim for the sky, you shoot higher than the rooftop. And I said, if we are number 10, or when the top 10 is not successful, why don't we try to get to number 1? Is there a crime if we're number 1? So let's look at Ali. Very quickly, let's look at the model of Ali and see why we're where we are, why we're not at the apex. Ali was founded on the 24th of April, 1907. Now you look at the ownership and control pattern structure of Ali. Al Ahly is not owned by any state government. Rivers United is owned by the Rivers State government. For deeply will tell you it is a flawed ownership and control structure. If you want to really run a club professionally, it cannot be owned by a government. The biggest clubs in the world, all these clubs I mentioned in the top 10 are not owned by any government. Al is actually owned by itself. They have a leadership. The president, Mahmoud El Khatib, doesn't run the club alone. He has a board of directors. This club is so well run, so professionally run, that they are seen as a grand establishment in African football. They can compete at the global scale. Look at their social media numbers. It is on a different stratosphere. As at early this year, they had total followers on social media, cumulatively, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, of 59.6 million. 59.6 million global ranking. They are amongst the top 20 most followed club sites in the world. In Africa, number 1. We cannot compete with them. And then they say money makes the world go round. How much is Al Ahly of Egypt worth? This club is worth around 30.5 million euros as at early last year. I can go on and on and on. So how can Rivers United get there? The basic thing, the fundamental thing has to be looked at. What's the ownership and control structure of the club like? It is owned by the Rivers State government. If we want to really compete, if we want to be taken seriously amongst the committee of clubs, globally, continentally, that's the first thing to look at. I will stop here for now. Sani. Sani, if you can hear me, I'm done.
Sani, are you muted?
I think we lost Sani.
Oh, he's back.
Okay.
I'm on mute now. You should hear me now. I just unmuted. Thank you so much for that. What we just realize is how much of a money spinner sport can be. However, it requires investment. You just told how much private investment went into the kind of clubs we are trying to compete with and the kind of leagues we are trying to compete with, how they are not just funded with taxpayers' money and factored into government budget, but actual business. Now, let's go to Carl Orakwe. Carl, investment in sports is something that's been lacking in Nigeria for a long time. Let's put this into perspective. In the 2024-2025 season, the English Championship, that's the second division league in England, the teams got image right of around 11 million pounds compared to Nigeria first, the Nigerian MPFL, the main professional league, the League One in Nigeria, that got just a pastry 9,000 pounds. That's 20 million naira equivalent. From your experience so far, how do you suggest we can bring investors into Nigerian sports, not just football now? Let us narrow it down to football, into Nigerian sports, such that we can build the ecosystem of sports and it can be sustainable all by itself, not just relying on government administration.
Now, you cannot run away from it. When we want to boost investment in sports generally, as here in River State or generally in the country, investment comes in two folds. Government, which is obligatory and like a social responsibility that they must perform, either directly or setting the right atmosphere for the private individuals to come in. Now, the second fold, like I said there too, will be private investment. Now, for private investment, you have to have something worth putting in your time or energy. By investment, we mean concentrated effort, time, energy, resources, could be financial, into a particular thing because you want to get a result. You want to obtain something from it. So if we are to boost investment in sports, where it has not existed, where the foundation has not been laid by government, we have to begin that now. Government has to come in, like I said, either directly, like direct funding, or providing the right atmosphere. Now, when I say providing the right atmosphere, I'm sure we all understand direct funding. Government will have to take on responsibility, maybe perhaps if it's to fund things we had back in the day that no longer exist. The school sport games, it's no longer as organized as we used to have it back in the day. They have to put in direct investment to ensure that schools have these games, and from there we begin to fish out these athletes. So that's direct investment. But where you are not going to invest directly, you have to ensure that the foundation has been laid, be it in terms of security, be it in terms of our structure already as a country. Now, I'll give you an example, and this example will come from football. We once had Super Sport come to, of course, sponsor the Nigerian League. In the past, we've had MTN, we've had Globalcom also try to invest in the Nigerian League. Super Sport brought in plenty of money to do so. And we saw the way the Nigerian League actually picked up as a result of that. In terms of coverage, viewership, promotion, and all that, it brought and attracted people to the league. But why did Super Sport pull out? The structure, the Nigerianness, the people itself did not allow that deal to continue. Now, government has to make sure that things work, be it in terms of, I've mentioned security previously. We have to have a system where the judiciary actually functions. Punishment is actually meted out for people who commit crimes, people who do not do things right. Because if I am an investor, I'm going to take a look at all these things. Do I bring my money into, as for private investors, do I bring my money into a place where at any point in time, people may fail and I cannot hold them to account? I cannot hold them to book because they are shielded by the Nigerian system, and so I cannot get my money back. If you're a private investor, like I mentioned, the idea of investment is concentrate efforts, energy, resources into a particular thing. You want returns on your investment. So government has to, in every way possible, set the right atmosphere for everything, not just sports alone, but sports, we're talking about sports now, for sports to be able to thrive, for the businessmen to be able to come in. They also should lay the foundation. Then for the private businessmen, I will tell you this is easy. If you see something worth investing in, if you see something that's promoted, we cannot be aware of everything that's in existence. For instance, now, if the River State government decides to build
Hello, Carl. Hello, Carl.
Okay, Sunny, can I just chip in something before Carl comes back in? Sunny, I don't know if you can hear
All
me.
right.
Can I just say something before Carl
Yes,
comes in? Okay,
I can hear
this is
you.
Sammy. Okay, this is Sammy. Good evening again, everybody. Please, I want to apologize. I will have to run. I mentioned to Eben when I was first invited, I said if it wasn't for the respect I have for him and for what this project is about, there's no way I would have been on this Zoom call right now, because I have an event tomorrow. It's a very big event that will last one probably an entire day, and obviously I'm the person at the tip of the spear. I have to be at the venue of the event at about 5. I'm still in my office and I have to leave here and start driving down. However, I prepared a comprehensive script as far as this is concerned, where all the questions I was asked were answered. So if you guys can, I want to most respectfully ask that I excuse myself so I can tie up the loose ends for the event tomorrow. I can send through via email or any means you want me to send all the answers to the questions I was asked. And if anybody else has any other question from my end, I'll provide an answer. You can either get through to me on email, WhatsApp, or any of my social media channels.
Thank you so much, Sammy. It's been so great to have you, and your contribution was immeasurable. Eben, can you speak to that so that we can just thank Sammy and let him run? Bira, Eben, are you there?
Hi, so Iben will soon join us, but thanks so much, Sammy, and I will communicate accordingly to Iben. And also, we appreciate if you can send the scripts to us as you stated. But best wishes on the rest of your day and the events tomorrow. Thank
And
you
we're
so
so
much.
grateful for your presence. We
Sorry.
really appreciate your
Sorry. Is
presence.
that
Thank you so
all?
much.
Wait, Sam. Is that all? Nobody's asking for my account
All right,
details. Is that what you need to do? Nobody asking for my account details. Why?
So we are sure Iben will communicate with you
Sammy, what
accordingly.
did you say to that?
Okay, guys.
Iben,
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Bira, what do you
All
say
right,
to
guys.
that?
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sammy. Thank you. Your wealth of knowledge was.
Hey, I don't need to thank you. If it's not 20 billion, I don't want to say
Hello.
anything. Thank you very much. Guys, I appreciate this. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Am I audible now?
Yes, please.
All right. Sorry,
I think I
Carl,
must
network
apologize.
was not favorable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just basically to sum up, if
So you
do I
were
go
talking
ahead just to
about
sum up?
you're talking about the government side. Yeah, you're talking about the government side. What government needs to do to ensure that it's not before people bring in their investment. Government needs to play their part, and you were mentioning the part that the roles government needs to play on their own part. That was Elena's thoughts before the.
There need to be an existing structure. We have to go back like that famous drawing board. We've got to go back to that famous drawing board and start once again. We start from school sports. In the US and out west, we have what we call Pee Wee sports. Now we have to have it organized at that level, be it from the primary school, secondary school, and also, of course, the college system. We've got to have it organized at that level. Now, when you have all these organized, you're going to see at a certain point in time, government is not going to be the one to bring in the resources. No, private investors will definitely come in, but they need something to be able to anchor, to latch on to. So that's where government has to come in. We've got to go in from that system and start with school sports. We've got to bring back investment in facility. I talked about, the sports complex we had in Delta State under the Ibure administration. Now here in River State, I think the last administration at a point in time tried to renovate what we had at the number 1 field, number 2 field, 3, 6, down to 6 field. We need to be able to renovate this, and not just in Port Harcourt Township, at the various local governments. We need to be able to put this in place so that the youth, as pastime, they will spend time on the courts, will spend time on the field, they will spend time, at these various centers where we have a sporting facility. And when they do this regularly, practice the same makes perfect. They hone their skills and they are now able to compete at those competitions at their level. And we need to ensure there's a graduating system. When I mean a graduating, from the Pee-wee maybe to the primary, from primary to secondary school into university, we need to ensure that all these are organized. Government plays a role in this. We cannot escape from this. So yes, as much as we will say private investors always, and we shout for that and we encourage them to come in, government has to lay the foundation to ensure that this works. When this works, you will not beg a private businessman to come and make money. You will not beg a private businessman to invest and basically promote himself or his products. You're not going to have to do so. So the foundation is what's needed, and that's where we strongly need government to come in.
Thank you so much, Carl. We understand the government foundation, the foundation the government needs to lay down. However, there is something in this foundation too that we have to be empowered with in order to pitch to private investors, and that is actually followership. Followership is so important in pitching sports to investors. I believe I'm right on that. So we would love to ask China.
Yes, you are right. But sorry to jump in, Sani, but let me quickly say this. For followership, think about it. If you had, today's my daughter's birthday, I traveled and I had to ensure I get back today to be able to celebrate her birthday with her. Now, if I had my daughter competing, she's 3, if I had her competing, maybe Pee-wee basketball or Pee-wee football, I will be there to cheer her. Her aunts and uncles, our friends will be there to cheer her. So when you say followership also, Sani, where's the problem is, we do not have this organized. You will go to, we used to have a player play for Dolphins, I think, no, Rivers United. I think it was Hame Fule playing for Rivers United. When he features, the entire stand at the Yakubu Gowon Stadium then is filled with people wearing his jersey number, not just his immediate family, people from his locality here in River State. They throng to the stadium to come watch him play. So you see, if our people are involved, if at number 1 field here in River State, and here in Port Harcourt, over there in Abonima, over there in Kana, we have all those, sports facility active and people are competing. Sani, you will go and watch your brother. You will go and watch your son. You will go and watch that person who is from your community. Why is it, you talk about followership, why is it that when we have those activities at the end of the year, marking Christmas and all, do you see the turnout, most especially when it's inter-community? They are there to cheer the people they know. So followership will follow. Yes, that's actually follows quite well. Followership will follow if we have facility, if we have organized games and events which people can partake in. Followership will naturally follow.
Thank you so much. China, Achille, we understand you've traveled to over 1,000 league matches in our local football league, and you are a huge advocate of promoting the local content. We would love you to walk us through how can we fill the stadiums, what needs to be done in order to promote the fan culture, not just with football, but with all sports that our local people have prowess in. How do we fill up our stadiums?
Okay, let me start this way. If I do something now, I say A is for, we all know it's apple. B is for ball, C is for cat, D is for dog. And we can go all through to the end of the alphabet. And you know why we remember this from 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? Remember it because not that we learn it every day. Because when the teacher told us that at 4 or 5 or 2, A is for apple, we saw the picture of the apple. B is for ball, we saw the picture of the ball. So visuals help a lot. In 2018, the top scorer in Nigerian league was a fellow called Gabriel Okolosi. And he was supposed to play for the Super Eagles at the World Cup. He didn't make it anyway. I was talking with my sons. And while we are talking about Mohamed Salah, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, I mentioned, did I say Gabriel Okolosi? No, that's not Gabriel Okolosi, the Kano Pillars boy. His name slipped me. Gabriel was from way back. So I mentioned this player's name from, not Yaro Yaro, not Yaro Yaro. His name will come back to me. I mentioned this Kano Pillars player's name, and my son started laughing because he thought I was joking. They had never heard that name before. They had never heard that name before. You know why? At the last World Cup in 2023, my youngest son, who was just 6 at that time, he watched almost every game at the World Cup. On sight, he recognizes Ronaldo, Mbappe, Messi, Suarez, because he sees them. He does not see any Nigerian league player. So he has no idea who plays the league. So getting fans to the stadium is about building a new set of fans. And I say this every time. For my generation, we are the ones that watched the league in the 80s.
Please, pardon me,
and
can
the
you repeat that
90s.
the last line? China, can you
About
repeat the last line, please?
I said we need to get a new set of fans for the league. A new set of fans for the league. Now, for my generation, we watched the league in the 80s and 90s. But most of my generation cannot come out to the stadium. They would rather watch the EPL or the foreign leagues. These are top bankers, top managers in oil companies, top investors. They don't come out. Now, the one that follows me, they also don't watch the league anymore. They're all focused on European football. Now, it will shock you that what we call, I'm not talking about Gen Z, even Gen Alpha, they are focused on their handheld devices, playing games. Now, my own is lost. Millennials are lost. Gen Z is almost lost. Now we need to have a program, a project. Where do you want to go in the next 5 years? Where do we see ourselves in the next 10 years? You talk about 2050. Okay, where do you see ourselves in 2050? We need to begin to build on the generation that has not been taken over by European football. How do you do it? Can they see something? What can they see? Can you get these games to their handheld devices? Can my youngest son, who is 8 years old, walk on the streets to school and see a bright billboard of Rivers United coach Finidi George, who had played in 2 World Cups? We don't see these things. So just like Carl said, we need to be more local. How can we be more local? We need to make these things readily available on social media where they operate. I had somebody talk about using social media. He did well in social media, Facebook, X, or Twitter, it was called then. But you see, Gen Alpha, they don't care about Facebook. Gen Alpha don't care much about Twitter. So what are our clubs doing on TikTok? Can we get visuals? We see Cristiano Ronaldo having a party, and we are clicking. We want to see what he did in that party. We hear that Messi took his girlfriend out. We want to see what happens now. Can we know what our players' wives and girlfriends are doing? This is what Gen Alpha wants to see. This is what Gen Z wants to see. So we need to go more digital to get a new set of fans. Because truth be told, like I said, the top bankers and the top investors, they want to sit in their houses and watch TV. They want to go to a nice, cozy bar and watch TV. But that generation that has not been taken yet, I think, is Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha. So how do we get them? We don't get them by newspapers or by Facebook. We get them by the big screens and by the small screens, which are handheld devices. So our clubs need to do more on social media. And by social media, it's not just Facebook and Twitter or X. They need to know what these people are thinking of. And it's not just about the clubs, the league body. You heard Carl talk about Super Sports sponsoring the league, and we lost that sponsorship. Our games are hardly on TV. I watched the league game last year. It was Rangers in Port Harcourt against Rivers United. This should be the biggest clash in Nigerian league. I had no idea that game was on the 4 hours to the game. I had no idea. Is it possible that Arsenal is playing a home game and people in London don't know about the game? It's not possible. I had no idea that the game was on. How did I know? The Rangers GM is my friend. So I saw he posted it on WhatsApp. I'm in Port Harcourt. And that was how I knew that game was on. So truth be told, our clubs need to do more. The league needs to do more. What should they ask themselves? How do we get our product out? Forget about how good the product is. Forget about how interesting the games are. Let's forget about, is it competitive enough? But how do we get our product out? How does my 8-year-old know that there's a club called Kano Pillars or a club called Kwara United? How does my 14-year-old know there's a club called Sunshine Stars or a club called Remo Stars? How do they know? We need to get our product out. So it's not, it's a project. It's not 1 year, 2 years. Let's set a target and, set, proper guidelines for ourselves. And I'm sure we'll get there. And it's not something that one person can say, I want it to be done in my time as state governor, or in my time as club chairman, or in my time as sports commissioner. It's a project that you will start and someone else will reap the benefits.
Thank you so much. That was so insightful, very futuristic, just like the vision we are trying to put pen to paper for. But we want to quickly go to Coach Kaka, Gladden Dan Jumbo. Are you still here with us, please? Our veteran talent hunt, Coach Kaka. Are you still here with us? Gladden Dan Jumbo. Hello, sir.
I don't think he is, Sani.
I think my network has not been favorable. Can you hear me, Claire?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So, Coach Kaka is not here, right?
No.
Okay. All right. I wanted to ask something on talent discovery and nurturing, and how we can nurture the talent of Generation Alpha, who are just being born into our hands, how we can make them enjoy following themselves, and the kind of master plan that we can lay on ground, what I wanted Gladden Don Jumbo to enlighten us on. However, I would love to put this to the panelists that are still on the call. Away from football, basketball, cycling, boxing, and the water sports that Rivers State has actually excelled in, what's your advice that we can actually put into this vision to make Rivers State get talent for other sports? We know how many sports are there in the Olympics that make some country rank first every time, because the rest of us can only put in for less than half of the whole sports on the table. What do you suggest for Rivers State such that we can have participants in other sports than Nigeria does not usually field athletes for, discovering them in Rivers State and nurturing them so that Nigeria can actually compete at the global stage whenever we are going for the Olympics game proper? I would like to start with China Achiro.
Okay, let me go old school. We need to go back to the grassroots. And by grassroots, I'm saying sports at that level. When I was in secondary school in the 80s, the highlight of our school year was not just the inter-house sports, it was the invitation relays at inter-house sports. Because we wanted to see those boys from FGC Port Harcourt, those girls from FGG Sabloma, those boys from Baptist High School. We wanted to see them. And Individual races are so competitive. You would think it was the Olympic Games final. We need to go back to that. Now, there used to be a swimmer in River State. She's now a coach. Obia in Yigi Kabo. We used to call her Fish. Obia won almost everything in swimming. She won countless medals at the Nuga, at the West Africa University Games, at the All Africa Games. She got a few medals, and she even got a medal at the Afro-Asian Games. She was that good. I spoke with her once, and I asked her, how did you start swimming? She said, she's from Okrika. She said one day when she was in primary school, a coach came from the sports council to their school in the village at Okrika. He gathered them and took them to the river. That's what Obia told me, and said, okay, you guys jump and swim. Swim to the end and swim back. They did it, and the coach picked her and said, come to Port with me. Today, Obia has more medals that she can hang on all our necks here, and there'll still be more medals left to be hung. That's how good Obia turned the swimmer. So we need to go back to the grassroots. We need to go back to the secondary schools. And we talk a lot about discovering talent. But it's more than just discovering talent, because after you discover a talent, what next? There needs to be training. There needs to be testing. And testing is competitions. So how many competitions do we have in Nigeria for athletes, for boxers, for swimmers, for volleyballers, for handballers, for basketballers, for wrestlers? How many do we really have? So imagine me going to the grassroots to discover swimmers. I just keep training them. And there is no means of testing them because there are no competitions. So basically, we need to go back to the grassroots. We need to have a sports policy. We say this over and over again. It's not like a song, right? It's sports policy. Now, what do we really want to do? Are we good in every sport? Do we focus on certain sports? Do we try to develop those we're not that good in? Because we have our strengths. In the 80s, I'll keep talking about the 80s. Nigeria, we are up there in boxing. We are up there in weightlifting. We are up there in weightlifting and boxing and wrestling. The likes of Iron Basi. I can't forget people like that. The likes of Macaulay Apa, the wrestler. The likes of Jackson Bide. Because I watched them in the 80s at the Commonwealth Games, at the Olympic Games. I watched them. Lawrence Ikwabon. I watched all these people. We are good. So where do we lose it in boxing, in wrestling, in weightlifting? Is it our focus on football? So we need to go back. River State as a state like this, we had some great boxers, Smokey Joe and the rest of them came out of River State. But if I tell you there's no boxing gym in River State, I'm sure you'll be so surprised. Not one boxing gym in the state. So when we go back to the grassroots and discover these boxers, how do you train them? So it's a lot to do, a lot to be done. But like I said earlier, we should not set an immediate target. No, 2050 is a good target. And we should not be scared of not winning. Because in Nigeria, we seem to think that success is when you win a medal. So the under-17 team won the World Cup, we are successful. You might not be successful. Success is how many football pitches do you have around the country? That's success. Oh, we got a silver medal in 4x100 meters at the All Africa Games. Maybe it's success. But more success is how many 100 meters do you have at Emoha? In these running tracks do you have in those areas? So we need to actually sit ourselves down like you're doing now, we are doing now, and begin to map out a strategy for this. If we do it, and we don't think that we must arrive there in 4 years, we can be on the right path. I don't want to talk about the negatives. Let me just speak about positives. And I will say, listen, let's do this. If we do it and we are sincere, we'll get there eventually.
Thank you so much. It's so thoughtful listening to you. But we'd love to hear from Carl too.
Okay. I basically, because China has touched on what is really the issue, or how government can actually, how we can improve other sports in this state. But I also like to chip in a few things he said. We recently had the staff audit verification exercise that took place in Rivers State for civil servants. And I didn't need the list because there was a list put out for various ministries and their staff I didn't need to see the list to know that the Sports Council and the Rivers State Sports Ministry is depleted. I've been active enough in Rivers Sports, reporting Rivers Sports, to know that most of the coaches we had previously had retired and they have not been replaced. So how do we start from the grassroots? We need to employ coaches again. We need to employ games masters, sports masters. China spoke of the invitational relays. Do you know for inter-house sports competitions previously, I expect that should still be the norm now, we used to have the games masters from the various schools. If your school is having inter-house sports, the games masters from the various schools, they form the technical committee. That's technical officials and officiating personnel. They are games masters from, so you see, they had that link, they had that connection. And basically they had the rules that govern them. We need to employ more games masters, send them to the 23 local government areas to ensure that at every school, we have some activity going on. That's how we're going to catch them from the grassroots. So employment's got to be done by government. I'm telling you, Sani, you're not the one who's going to go and employ a PE master or a coach. You're not the one who's just going to that. Okay, coach, I'm employing you. Go to Abonima now and go and start. No, you're not going to do that. It has to come from the government. Now, this is Rivers State. Are you aware that we have the top high performance center here in Rivers State at the Sports Institute at the University of Port Harcourt? And that high performance center is used by athletes from all over Africa, most especially West Africa, when they are preparing for international meets. That is here. The Sports Institute in Isaka also exists. But seemingly, government has not paid attention to these institutions that are here. Take a look at University of Port Harcourt. Are you aware University of Port Harcourt have won more Nuga games and more West African games than any other person? Why is that? Because there's concentrated effort on what they do. Now, if you're looking for where you're going to train these coaches and the PE masters you're going to perhaps employ, you've got the Sports Institute in Isaka. You've got the Sports Institute here at the University of Port Harcourt. These could serve as grounds where you can breed the men and women who will now shape maybe this vision we're talking about for 2050. It's not just going to happen by myself, yourself, we going to these localities. We need to be able to, should I say, get a new set of coaches. I know some coaches that have died here in Rivers State. I came into as a permanent resident in Rivers State in 2008. I usually visited, I've got relatives here. My mom is also partly from here. But I came in as a permanent resident in 2008. Some of the coaches I knew for some of the sports, they're dead. And no one has replaced them. Some people have long retired. They have not been replaced. And the recent verification exercise showed to that. So we can take advantage of the Sports Institute at the University of Port Harcourt and also at the one at Isaka. We need to revamp them and train the next generation of coaches, PE masters that will help shape the future. Now, China mentioned something. If you are not aware, when we have the National Sports Festival coming, it's like Christmas is coming. When we have some of the various associations able to get maybe one investor, one sponsor to put up an event, Christmas has come their way. Do you know why? They spend all the year training and there's no event to attend. So that's the thing. We need to create events. And it goes back to what I said. We create events for the young ones, whether for those in a primary school, we create events for those in secondary school. We create general events that will, under 18s, under 21s, junior events, senior events. We need to create these events because it's of no use, it serves no purpose, training people, and there's no event to come. How do you know that that thing you have been doing all through actually can serve? Or you could be able to match yourself with competition from another state, another locality. We need to be able to get events so that these athletes that we train can compete in. That's that thing. Then policy is important. I'll sum this up by saying, for Rivers State to be able to compete internationally, and this vision we're talking about for 2050, legislation has to come in. Legislation has to come in. we need to make it compulsory. We need to make it law that whatever policy, sports policy is put in place, it's not something that's going to be put aside by another politician when he comes into office, because let us not sing the name or hail the name of the former governor or the former whoever was there. No, we need to make something law. The policy has to be institutionalized to ensure that it continues and it outlives whatever administration that would implement it. So if you go back in time, we had such policies before, we had such schemes running before, but those who came after the administrators of yore did not follow up on that. So this is the security we need to get. There've been lots of talk, there's been lots of think tanks before, and people have suggested lots of things, and somehow maybe people even tried to start implementing it, but the continuity is what failed us. Nigeria is a country that is not known for continuity. It's always our problem. We do not know how to maintain anything. So we need a safeguard, and it has to come via law, via legislation, to ensure that whatever policy is put in place will be seen through. If not, even if we start something and perhaps do it for 10, 15 years, we'll still come back to a situation where there will be some discontinuation, and another set of people, maybe not the policy, not your group now, will also need to come together and now start another think tank so that we can now start something afresh. So the safeguard, the security will be for policy, not just initiated and being implemented. It has to be law so that to ensure for continuity. Sani.
Thank you so much. My repertoire is taking note of everything you mentioned. We are sure to have it included in the communique that comes out of this call. It's been thought-provoking, to say the least. However, for the sake of time, we won't be rounding up by having you both tell us what's the River State of your dreams? What do you envision for River State in the next 25 years? That's 2050. Let's just let us into your vision of River State in the next 25 years. Let's start with Carl.
I will just quickly say, a few years back, when Babangida Aliyu was governor of Niger State, he made a complaint. What was the complaint? He felt the federal allocation that was coming to River State and some of the Niger Delta states was so much that it dwarfed what was going to him. Niger State was receiving maybe about 25% of what the rest of the state, like River State, was receiving. What am I getting at with this? With such a huge amount of resources, I've always said this, River State, Port Harcourt, and the various communities in River State could actually be a small London. We have so much resources in this state, but the thing is, playing and channeling it to good use. So my dream, my vision of 2050 for River State is, if we have the right people in place to implement policies that will actually further development, that we will see the River State of our dreams. Take note, what's the River State of our dreams? For me, the River State of my dreams is that will be equitable or will be equal to what you perhaps get in England or perhaps London. I want something like that. And I know we have the wherewithal, the financial resources to make that happen. So I would love to see this happen if we have focus events like this, policies emanate from these events, implemented, and not just for sports, for everything in River State. We will be the best that others say, wow, they actually put their go. They get more than everybody with what the others look like in this. Yeah, Lusani, I'm done.
Thank you so much, Carl. Let me reiterate that this focus group discussion is on sport. Other disciplines have come before entertainment, education, ICT, public order and governance. Sport is just one of the group that we have on in the agenda. I will quickly want to go to China, Acheru, your vision of River State in the next 25 years and how the route that can take us there.
Okay, I attended an old school party in Port Harcourt 2 days ago, and these are all Port Harcourt boys from way back, and they're all talking about how great Port Harcourt was in the 70s and 80s. It was all tales of war and how the city has become. Some 4 months ago, I attended another old school party filled with old Port Harcourt boys, and it was the same thing. Now, Port Harcourt cannot be how it was before because things have changed. We don't have neighborhood sports pitches. We don't have. I told Carl a story in the office one day. I don't know if he remembers. In 1977, when we lived at Finiport, the late Professor Olaro to me, I'm sure we all know him. He would take us kids. We are all kids then. He would take us to the forest in Alu. You can imagine how underdeveloped Alu was at that time. He had a place, a small clearing in the thick of the forest. He would take all the kids on the campus there, University of Port Harcourt, and he was teaching us drama, was teaching us dance, was teaching us all that stuff he used to do. Now, imagine parents being comfortable allowing a bearded man to take their kids inside the bush. But it didn't matter. That was the Port Harcourt of those days. Port Harcourt cannot be like that again. I can't have my 6-year-old going out with a heavily bearded man. I wonder who is this person? Remember, but what we want for Port Harcourt is people that see the vision. Not people that want to take us back to where we were. It's not possible. But people that see a vision, people that think not just of themselves and their immediate family, but think of the state, think of the city. A person that sees development as not what he gets in his pocket, but what will benefit everybody. That's the Port Harcourt I want. Port Harcourt has everything to be what we see in the Middle East, what we see in the movies. We have the resources. So we need people that will talk to themselves and say, look, I am determined to change the face of this city. I'm determined to change the face of this state. So I'm not going to point at something I want to see. I'm going to say, I want people who see what you all are seeing, Vision 2050. People who believe in what you will believe in. Because if we don't have those people come together, we'll just be going around in circles. So I want people who will tell themselves, we stand for Port Harcourt, we stand by Port Harcourt, we stand by the people, we stand for the people. And we can actually make that change because we want to make the change and not because we want to hear the sound of our voices. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In the end, we want to actually make impact. We want to actually make a change, not just to hear the sound of our voices or to bring about some beautiful report to say we did. At this point, implore every one of us to go beyond just being a civic tech organization, go into the polity, go into whatever civic engagement that will be required beyond this brainstorming to bring about everything that will be compiling at the end of this initiative. In all honesty, I've never been to River State. I grew up knowing the state as the Garden City, like my people in the Southwest where I grew up used to call it. Going to the Garden City was as good as going to it was better than going to the new capital city of Abuja back then. And the Port Harcourt, the porta that I used to hear from my people who come home for festival is no more the Pitakwa that I hear on social media right now. And I look forward to Port Harcourt going back to something even better than the Garden City of Yo. That's why I'm part of this initiative. I look forward to a Nigeria where our children would not look forward to going abroad as their Nigerian dream, but being able to go anywhere in the country and prosper and reach their full potential. At this point in time, I'll be handing over to Bira. Bira, over to you. I remain Sani Shehu Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Sami. This was really wholesome conversation. And I'm grateful to all the participants, all the experts. The wealth of experience I can say cannot even be quantified in words. And thank you, Carl. Thank you, Sammy, who is out already. Thank you, China. Thank you so much. Part of what's the vision of Rivers 2050 is to bring the change that we all want. Just like China said in his closing words, it's not because we want to hear the voice, but because we want it to become palpable. Thank you so much once again. So by next week, we'll be having the culture and tourism focus group discussion. And in 2 weeks, we'll have that for technology and innovation. And in the couple of months coming, we'll be completing the rest of the 15 focus group discussions, which are very integral for the focus group, for the vision book, basically. So thank you so much once more, Sunny, and thank you to our experts. Thank you to everyone who joined the conversation. We hope to see in our next focus group discussion. Thank you so much once again to Sunny.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's a privilege,
Thank you,
it's a privilege
Sunny.
for me to be part of this. I feel
Thank
privileged
you.
to be part of this. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you too.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I was going to ask a question. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
I was going to ask a question, but I think China is no more on the call. I wanted to direct the question to him. I think he thought that we've ended, and it was sounding like we were closing or so, and he left already. So the question, I wanted to direct the question to him. So I don't know. Maybe Carl can help me convey the message because it's specifically to him. It's not a question per se, but I wanted to ask if he has thought about applying for the Guinness Book of World Record in terms of watching 1,000 football local games, and even say the first person in Rivers State. I don't know if there are other people who have done it, but I think is a very huge achievement if you ask me. There are a few people in England that probably watch Premier League that can boast of achieving such, but in Nigeria, I don't know if China would want to go. I think that would also it's a huge achievement. I just want to ask him if he has thought about that and maybe increase it to 1,500. And the first person to achieve that. And then, I just wanted to ask him if he has thought about it. If not, then he should.
I'll pass on the message to him, but I'm sure he will also mention. Now, the thing for China's is that documented. There may be people who have seen more games or equal games as China has, but it's never been documented. It's never been our culture in Nigeria to keep track or keep records of anything. Just like in England now, season tickets holders, lots of them will attend plenty of games in their lifetimes. So imagine if there are 38 games per season and they attend half of those games in their home grounds, or for some of them who travel for every game. So 38 games, some of them supporting the clubs from 18 years old. By the time they are 50, they would have covered lots of games. But you see, they keep track because they've got their ticket stubs and all that. So what China did, which is different from what anybody in this country did, is that he kept track of the games that he had watched. So I'll ask him if he will try and apply, but I think the metrics to actually determine whether he's the first person. But anyways, like I say, he's the person who has evidence because he kept track, he kept records, something we hardly do in this country.
Exactly.
So
because he has it documented, so that starts him out. So I think you might want to go for it. If any other person has an evidence, they should come. They should come forward.
Exactly.
Yeah. So but I think it's something he should apply. I mean, it's a huge achievement if you ask me. Yeah.
I'll pass the message on to him. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you once again. Thank you. Thank God. Thank you, Carl. I really also hope that China does that. All right. So we are actually closing. Once more, thank you to everyone who joined.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Iben is here, so
Yeah,
Iben. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Iben, do you
Yeah.
want to say
Next
something?
discussion,
Closing?
everyone.
Iben, any closing remarks?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Apologies, sincere apologies to our guests, Carl, Sammy, and China. So sorry. I was stuck at this TEDx event. They had tried to get me to come speak for a while, but it didn't start early, so I got stuck at the event. I was just rushing, driving home to come and still catch up, but I'm happy that I was able to meet up with some part of the conversation. So thanks a lot for your input. Everything that you said will definitely be added to the book, and credit to be given. I look forward to listening to the full recording of the conversation as well. And I'm just happy that we are talking about sports development as one of the sectors that River State can diversify to, and I hope that we can make something out of this for our state and for the country. So thanks everyone that joined in. The recording will be added to our YouTube channel. Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you so much, Carl, Sammy, and China.
Oh, awesome. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Bear. Bye.
You too. Bye.